Hello, everyone, and thanks for listening. So, I wanted to share with those of you that the opioid crisis is showing up in Los Angeles and it is real. And I never thought that I would ever see this type of thing happen before my eyes like I did more recently. And I pulled into an AM/PM gas station, and there were these women. They were behind what looked like it might have been where at the AM/PM it deals with the electrical and maybe the gas and the lighting or whatever of the store. And so there's these areas where, at a gas station where people will get their air and they'll get their water, and you can kind of like park over there. But there were these women, and they they appeared to be high off of drugs or looking for drugs or prostituting, and these were all white women, and they had all kind of needle sticks where you could see, like, it shows up really easy because on their legs, some of the women had shorts, and they were waiting because that area, a lot of cars frequent the area, a lot of people come in and out, and it's right across from USC. And so it's an AM/PM gas station, and there's also a train, like a Metrolink train station there. So people frequent that place, and a lot of people come and go. And so the women were there, they were prostituting themselves. And I believe it was for drugs. And I'm sure it either heroin or opioid, either one of them. And normally you don't see women, white women in particular, hanging out around the areas in that condition. Of course, usually if it is, it would be like students. They're going and coming, they're going to class, they're leaving class, or they're going about their way. But this didn't look like students. It looked like women that were probably middle-aged, some of them, and they were just really waiting for people to pick them up, and they were soliciting themselves. And I really didn't think I would see this, but what I have been, seen before, what I've used to seeing is there were alleyways, certain places in Los Angeles where you'd see Black people who had, been hooked on drugs like crack cocaine or heroin or whatever there is out there, and it'd be in certain alleyways or certain in front of certain apartment buildings, and people would know not to go there, not what areas or what streets not to go on. But now I'm starting to see a shift where I'm starting to see white people who are on drugs. And I was actually scared because these women didn't look like, you know, like, how would you say it? They looked really desperate. Like you'd have to roll up your window or be careful because, if they're on drugs, they'll probably do anything for them. And so what I remember when I was growing up, they used to call women strawberries. And that's what they would call women Black women, primarily in neighborhoods that had been, decimated by crack cocaine era. And they would call them strawberries because the women, they would sell their babies for crack, or they would sell their bodies. They would sell everything. They would just give up their whole life for just the drugs and pretty much put themselves out there on the street. And some people ended up dead. Some people ended up, it was areas were heavily policed. There wasn't 12 so much 12 steps and programs and things like that. There might have been programs, but it wasn't like how now they kind of promote that to try to help people. Back then it didn't seem like it was promoted at all to help people. It was more like either you get off the drugs or you're a criminal or something like that, and people got put in jail or they ended up dead, they got killed through some drug transaction or something like that. And there was a lot of chaos that I recall. But now it's like with the opioid crisis, it's like they want to help people. They want to, put you in a program. They're trying to give you chances and all of that. And I kind of feel like the reason why that they do this is because the people are white. And if the people were black, they wouldn't be trying to offer this much help. And that's not what happened back in the days, when people were on crack. You either try to figure out how to get off of it, somebody would help you get in a program. If you had some support, you didn't have any support, you ended up losing everything you had, losing your kids, and end up dying from the drugs or dying because of some kind of bad deal or wherever you're hanging out in wrong place, wrong time type of situation. But yeah, I'm seeing it. It's real. It's showing up in parts of Los Angeles, places that, you're like, oh, don't go on that street. Don't go to that building. Now I'm starting to see, sometimes they'll be walking down the street and, they're not clean and they look like drugged out of their mind or whatever. I'm seeing that downtown a lot now, and we call it DTLA. So it's happening a lot. And so it's really bad. But, and then I have this title here, those who are on social media. It's a separate issue. There's YouTubers that debate on social media all the time, but it gets crazy because what happens is you have people who think they know everything about you, and they don't really know everything about you. And so sometimes I have to tell myself, these people don't know everything about me. So why waste my time debating with people who don't know anything about me, basically? Um, Even if I say something, that doesn't mean you really know. Um, you don't know anything about my family history or whatever. But that's why I have to be honest to say, not everybody I believe is bad, but there are a lot of bad people out there. I'll say that. I don't know how else to say it. There are a lot of bad people out there. But just like, how some people will get on here and they'll say, oh, all the white people are bad. I have run into some people who are white that are not very nice. And then I've run into black people who are not very nice. I've run into Hispanic people who are not very nice. And so I think it's everywhere. It's like, it's just, there's a lot of angry people out there. And so it's everywhere. It's not just one group of folks. And, what I have learned is there's a lot of mean guys out there. They don't like women to say anything. And if you're independent, they hate it. And so they'll argue you down or debate you to the very end, or they don't think you're smart enough or you have enough intellect to voice your opinion, or you should just take a back seat and let them do all the, you know, talking or whatever. But I feel like life at my age, life is too short to let people really just get under my skin. I noticed that there's a lot of ghost accounts on YouTube because I'll actually go to those people's, you know, like I'll go in there and see what kind of stuff they post. And you wouldn't believe, a lot of times if it's a guy and he's saying something really mean towards me, I'll go in, and a lot of times, 9 times out of 10, he's got women, they look like they're half naked, or there's mean stuff about women on his page. So he just doesn't like women. So I already know, and right then and there. And so that person, I delete him, or I just don't even talk to him. Or if he's got stuff on there, black women ain't shit, or something like that on his page, I delete them. Like if they're telling me stuff like they know my family on a first name basis, I don't know anything about that person. I delete them because I think this person's a wacko. You don't know anything about me. I don't even know anything about you. And now that I'm hearing you, I don't want to know anything about you. But anything that people say on here, you can't always take all of it. you know, you know, 100, because some people are just, they may not even be black and they go on. I noticed that happens a lot where they they have another picture of somebody that's African American or black. They'll go on a black website or channel or whatever, and they'll say all this stuff. Oh, black people ain't shit, or black people, oh, this ain't right, and all this, and they're not even black. They're not even black. So, or they got a ghost account. They'll have cartoon characters for their avatar. Um, People that, that look like Mickey Mouse or something like that, or Yu-Gi-Oh or whatever. And I'm not saying that everybody's bad that does that, but there are some people that do that, and it's a ghost account and they don't want you to know who they are. And they could be a teacher, they could be a lawyer or a doctor or a police officer. You'd be surprised. They could be, and then some of them are teenagers. They don't know any better anyway, so they're gonna get on here and say stupid shit. So I don't really pay too much attention to some of those folks, like delete them, or I just delete the crazy stuff that they put out. So whenever I see it, and if it's like crazy, I just like bloop, just delete it, because it doesn't make any sense. But yeah, but with that being said, yeah, I'm starting to see, back on the opioid thing, people in LA walking around that happen to be white, that are high off of drugs. I've seen people, like, the only time I've seen it, um where it was like people that look like they're high off of something, was when they have spring break at USC, and USC has these spring break parties, and there's like a certain streets that you go down, University Row, they call them, and they're nothing but frat and sorority houses, and they'll have like a lot of cups. You'll see a lot of students. They're out there playing in the front yard. They're playing basketball and they're having fun, and they're just being young and living their lives. And see some of them drinking and all that. And it's sort of like a party school to me, but you'll see that, and that's as much as that I've seen, with white people, white kids drinking. It's like it's normal. It's like, oh, okay, I've seen that. But this, what I'm seeing, is not college kids. These are like middle-aged women who probably they could have been married, had a family, something happened in their life, they lost their family, lost their kids, lost their way. They ended up addicted to the opioids or the heroin drugs, and they're just out there on the street soliciting themselves. And so it's getting to that point now. And so it is real. I know some people look at this on the news, they're like, I didn't see nobody like that, but I'm starting to see it, and it's crazy. It's wild, because the reason I'm saying this is because I was used to seeing it was just black people that were like drugged out of their skull, and they were on crack. And I'm not seeing that much of that. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen still, where black people are on stuff, but I'm starting to see more. What I'm seeing, if it's black people, they're homeless. In terms of black people, I'm seeing a lot of homelessness. With white people, I'm seeing homelessness and drugs is what I'm seeing. That's what I'm seeing. Um, and we have a lot of homeless encampments here in LA, especially in the downtown area. A lot of tent cities and things like that, and it's really bad. And some of those people are out there because of drugs, and that's how bad the drugs are. And now, like, the pharmacies are being broken into, places are being broken into. Like, if you're like a dispensary, like if you have like a pharmacy or whatever, those places get broken into a lot out here. So, but anyway, with that being said, thanks for listening.